Hey everybody, and welcome back to episode 3 of the KOS and Unreal Integration tutorial. And today we're going to do something a little bit more interesting and take things out and try to see some of these advanced features of what you can do with Kessler. So the first thing you're going to notice is two things. One, I got a prop up here that we're going to be using. This beautiful little skull sitting on a couple blocks. It's on top of a Kessler turntable. That Kessler turntable is plugged in and has created this new tile here, which I renamed the planet, but we're going to change that back to auxiliary 3 for the sake of going through this tutorial. But I wanted to kind of show you what happens with this. So if we go to auxiliary 3 and we start moving it, we can now fly around the subject. We can spin the subject left, we can spin it right, and the backdrop will react to it. Now, a couple things to keep in mind for this tutorial. My graphics card is only a 1080 Ti on this, so it's not really the highest performing these days. If you want to do real time, I recommend going up with something higher than that, for sure. But for time lapse and stop motion, it's perfectly fine. Also, if you see any flickers on the display, this is something going on my graphics card. I haven't had a chance to figure it out. It's not terribly important to me because when I'm running, it's just not something that I really find happening. So anyway, with that said, let's go ahead and I'm going to show you how to do this, how to get that rotation around a subject, because the nice thing about this is normally a 4-axis kit, all you can really do is you can slide left, slide right, and then a couple other tricks, tip, pan, tilt, and stuff like that, and focus. But you want to be able to rotate your subject and be able to track through it in the Unreal world. So like I said, the frame rate, all that's all kind of beholden to my low-end graphics card that I have on this setup, but I never use this setup for real time. This is only for stop motion. So moving forward, what we're going to do is I'm going to have that renamed, and we are going to go through and I'm going to show you everything that we got to do to set this up, and we're even going to do some more stuff on top of that. So the first thing you're going to do is when you have this axis, you're going to go in and do a right click, and you want to go in and change the name of this to whatever you want to use. So I'm going to say planet. You're also going to want to make sure that the axis type is what you want. So pan rotates on the z-axis. So this is the movement we want to send to Unreal. And then we're going to go ahead and close, and then we're going to go up to here, URE, and we're going to go through, and I'm going to delete this out, and I'll show you how to build that. All you're going to do is you're going to hit a plus down here. You're going to go up to this and name this planet. And I'm going to take the axis name planet. This only appears here because I have it listed on this tile under here, planet down here. That's why it shows up here. So I'm going to select planet, and then camera ID. We're going to go to camera ID 2 because what we don't want is this camera ID, or we don't want this axis to pan the virtual camera. So that's what we got to do there. I'm going to go ahead and kill that. And also, when you first set up planet, it is not going to be set up properly. You're going to have to go in and set all this stuff up. So we'll just show you how to do that real quick. And we're going to reset this axis so now it doesn't have any data in it. I'm just going to pan this guy until he's looking straight at the camera. A little more. Okay, perfect. And I'm going to do mark begin. And now I'm going to slide him all the way around to do a full 180. Or full 360. Almost had it. A little bit more. Boom. And we're going to do a mark end. And then I'm going to tell it to go to 0. And it's going to turn it facing away. So I'm just going to pick this guy up and rotate him around. Okay, so now we're looking right at it. So now as I rotate this axis, I can go from a full 360. So keep in mind how you have this set up too. If you want to do a full 360, you're going to want to have start on one end and then zoom all the way across to the other. But I'm just going to set this in the middle for now. So we'll just put that back at 0. And now we're going to go back in URE. So it's all that set up. Planet, once again, we want to choose function 2. Everything else on function 1 or camera ID 1, this one on camera ID 2. And you want to make sure that since over here, you see if we're on 1, it's negative 90 and 90 because that's what I set this one up for. Oh, let me talk about this for just a quick second too. I'm going to cancel this and I want to show you something. You'll notice this is not the same pan tilt that I had last time. This is a center drive. This right here is a 5X control module. If you look, this looks just like the bottom port of a Cineshooter, because basically it is. This is a Cineshooter without the pan tilt hardware, and for a price, I'm not sure what it is. You'll want to check with Kessler, but I believe it's around $1,500. They can take your old Cine drive, and what they can do is they can retrofit the electronics in there so it'll work with this 5X control module. Not only that, this 5X control module can power Kessler motors like this. So if you want to do more of a do-it-yourself type setup, you can purchase these motors directly from Kessler. They have a pigtail on them, and you can mount these and use these however you want. So if you have an existing pan tilt you want to use, you can always pick up one of these control modules and some of their motors and take control of it. So that's actually really exciting. And right now I'm using this because I'm just kind of putting it through its paces and testing out its performance and making sure that it's working throughout the course of this tutorial, because this is brand new. So moving on, let's go ahead and get back to what we were doing. Just so you know, I don't. By the time I say this too, they probably won't be there. But if you go on B&H or Adorama, you can find these pieces of hardware for about $800. There's a couple of these out there, and if you get that, and then you spend the cost to get this to put on and retrofitted, you can have yourself a setup like this, which is functionally identical to a Cineshooter, but with this high-end Cinedrive mechanics. I mean, there is like zero backlash on this thing. It is absolutely bulletproof. So for less than the price of a Cineshooter Plus, you can get a 5X control module and the Cinedrive portions. But I'm sure that won't last long as soon as people figure this out. Okay, back to where we were, moving forward. So we got everything set up in here. We got our planet set up. You go to URE. We're on planet is number 2. So if I start rotating this again, I should see, no, the backdrop's not moving. Let's see, what do we got? Well, there's a lot of things that could potentially be causing this at the moment. Let's go to pan. Okay, so that's working. And it's probably just I need to rebuild everything because I deleted stuff out and rebuilt it. So let's go to URE, go to planet. Oh, here we are. Camera function, pan. I did not have that set up in here. Without that, it's not going to work. So we're going to go ahead and try it now. Oh, we're on pan. I'm going to go to planet. Planet, come on. All right. See, so it overwrote some data. That's why the jump. But now you can see it's moving this. So there's a lot of stuff to keep in mind when you're putting this stuff together. But after a while, you get kind of used to it and figuring out why something's not working properly. Usually it's just some kind of a boneheaded move I did because I just wasn't paying attention. But yeah, make sure you have the pan function set up because this is what it's actually telling Unreal Engine to do. Here's something kind of funny. If I do a roll on this, watch what happens. Ooh, that's kind of trippy. So we're going to go ahead and put that back to pan. And as you see, as soon as I move this, it's going to make a jump. Oh, did I not change that? Oh, okay. We need to reposition that. Now this might be a good time to go over this little URE status button over on the side. You might want to go over and pin that on. And I'm going to go down to camera 2 because that's the function it's doing. And if I look here, here's the roll. So I'm just going to go ahead and correct that and send that back to 0. And as you see, as this moves, I move the slider, you can see it adjusting the pan for camera 2, which is the end display. All right, let's go ahead and start looking at the portion that is the Unreal portion. We're going to go switchboard. We're going to shut down the end display. You have to shut down the end display and then run the editor. You don't want to run them at the same time. If you have the end display going and then you turn on the editor and you move your system, nothing's going to happen. This will establish a live link session to one session of Unreal Engine. So if you have your editor up and you launch the node and it's not moving, that's why. You got to shut the editor down first. So I got a couple things in here I'm going to go ahead and change. In fact, we're just going to build all of that from the beginning, okay? Everything. So we have our scene in here. I'm going to kind of go down, and we got our little buddy here. This is our friend. We're going to play with him here in a minute too. We got this light. We're going to play with it too. But first we need to go get that end display put back in. So I'm going to grab the end display and just going to drag it in. Then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to look for cinematic, and I'm going to go for cinema. Oh, no. Crane would be awesome, but we're going to add cinema camera actor, and it's going to put it over here. So in the first episode, I believe it was, we had discussed why you want to anchor things together. So right now, if I put the connection to the cinema camera actor, it's currently sitting in this location. And as soon as I send it data, and I'm going to show you here, camera 1, as soon as I send it data, it's going to send it data for all of these positions, and it's going to reset the position. So you need to find a way to make 0 the correct place for where you're trying to set it. The only way I know to do it, or the proper way to do it, I guess, you take the cinema camera actor and you dump it into the end display. Now, if I zero out the position for the cinema camera, which is over here, boom, pops it over here, right? So good to go. Now if I move this camera, it's going to move with the 0 point being the default viewpoint for the end display. So that's exactly what we want. So I'm going to go down to cinema camera actor, and I still have this, every time I do this, this junk pops up. It's really annoying. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add live link controller, and then subject representation is going to be camera number 1. And then we need to go to the end display, and we're going to need to go down to the IC VFX camera, and the cinema camera actor, we need to select cinema camera actor. Okay, that's important to get this all to work, especially when you're just running the end display. So at this point, if I go to KOS, let me move this over a little bit. I'm going to do a pan. We should see it pan. Very good. And you saw that jump, and that's just because it's overriding that positional data from where the camera is currently orientated and located. We're going to go to slider. See, that looks good. So we're just going to zero that out. Well, close to 0, whatever. It doesn't really matter. So now we have that portion set back up. So I'm just going to go ahead and save that while I'm at it. Now the thing is, what we want to do is we want to be able to rotate the end display. So if I go down here, rotation on the Z-axis, you're going to see this movement. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I want to get. The problem is, you need to pay attention to what the 0 mark for this is going to be now. But first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to end display, and I'm going to show you what happens if you don't. We're going to do add. I'm going to do live link. Subject representation, camera 2, we need to get camera 2 showing up. If we look over here, we only have camera 1. So how do we get camera 2? Go to KOS. And I'm just going to go to planet. So that's set on camera 2. I'm going to move it, and there it is. Now that that shows up, we can go here to camera number 2. And what happened? It disappeared. You know why? Because it sent the location to 0. Because X, Y, and Z location is 0 on how I currently have this. So if we look, so basically it sends it away to the very center of the world, okay? And we don't want that. So I'm going to do Control Z to bring that guy back. Okay. So before I add that subject representation, which is going to override the position, I need to make sure that this is that right here is its 0 point and it's home. So I'm going to, there's just not enough room in any of this. Okay. So what we're going to need to do is we need to anchor this into something. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull out an actor, just a basic actor. And I'm going to bring it over Move it over here so it's over with our camera so they're in the same spot. And then I'm going to grab the end display and anchor it into the actor. Now if I go to the end display, if I clear out the position on it, when I clear out the rotation, it doesn't move, it's not bumping around anywhere, right? It just moved a little bit to go to all zeros. But what I'm saying is it did not send the end display to the very center of the world. And if I go down now to the Live Link controller component, and I put that on camera number 2, now it just popped it over to what the current data is listed in here for camera number 2, which is a pan of 60. So if I go over, and the pan, of course, is the panning action on the planet. So if I go to planet and I start moving planet, watch what happens. That's exactly what we're looking for right there. So the subject is in between the screen and the camera in the real world, and it pans the virtual world around it. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And yeah, pretty awesome, right? But I mean, we can even get crazier with this. And we will do that in a minute. But first off, I also want to show something. If we go over to Chaos, and I have these little sliders over here for camera 2, watch what happens when I move these. See that? So we can do that in the end display as well, while the end display is running. So now that everything's in here, I'm going to save it. Let's go ahead and bring it back in and make sure that this works. So we're going to close that, and we are going to do switchboard, and we're going to launch the node. I'm going to bring Chaos back and get it kind of out of the way. And just give this a moment. Okay, now that that's back, we're going to hit Windows key to get our cursor back. I'm going to go to pan, and I just want to make sure that this is reacting, and there it goes. Sorry about that. That was my phone. And as you see, the display is reacting. And as also, as you can see in here, there's a little bit of lag, and it's not really lining up correctly. And there's a reason for that. We'll fix that in a minute. But I really just wanted to make sure that this was working. And now we're going to go to a planet. We're going to try to rotate. And as you see, as we rotate the subject, the backdrop rotates too. Now you're going to need to pay attention to placement of the subject and all that in order to get everything to look just right. So I might need to move this forward or backwards a little bit, but I just wanted to make sure that that was functioning at the moment. So everything there is good. Now also tell you what, let me show you something really kind of neat. So now we have camera ID 2 is attached to the end display. Let's say I'm not really super stoked with exactly where it is and I want to tweak it. I can actually move the display. So here we go. I want to make sure I can see our buddy right there, right? He's going to be our friend, and we're going to be playing around with him a little bit. So I can move the display left and right. I can move it up and down. In fact, I can even punch it down through the floor, and we can see what's actually below the flat Earth model for once. Or we can bring this up, higher up towards the mushrooms. And also, if you look, it only goes negative 1,000 to 1,000. And what this means is 1,000 centimeters. So it's moving 10 meters is what it'll move in any direction, 10 meters. So if I want to increase that, I can go into the Unreal tab here and bring this up and go to this, which is on planet, and we have 10 meters, which is 1,000 centimeters. I could actually increase this to say, on the Z, let's go to 5,000, or negative 5,000 and 5,000. All right, and now that that's done, if I move the Z, we can go way higher, to the point where they're outside of the world. So this is a really cool way of being able to drive your display. And once I have the display where I want it, I can go back here to Planet and make sure this is all looking right. Let's just go to pan. Let's get that skull a little bit further back into the view. And then we'll go to Planet and go ahead and rotate it. and just make sure it all, looks how we want it to look. So we can actually manipulate where the end display is in the end display while you're running the end display without having to switch back to the editor and then making those changes. So we're going to go ahead and kill off the end display right now, and we're going to make a couple adjustments that I need to do. Okay, I'm going to pull that back up, take that down, make this big. I really need to be paying attention so I can keep all that stuff on the side in view. All right, here we go. So not now, and cancel, get this junk out of the way. We're going to go back to the cinema camera actor, and the display it was shown wasn't quite the right size. So we're got 16.9 digital film. We're going to go to Super 35 because it's a Blackmagic cinema camera. We're going to go to focus distance. I'm going to put at 80. I just want to blur out the backdrop a little bit. And we're going to change our focal length to 24. So now this actually should look a little bit more correct than what we were seeing earlier. And also something I'm going to search for here. This vignette, I hate it. It puts a vignette on it. I don't want a stinking vignette on this thing because my camera's probably already going to apply a vignette. So I don't want to be compounding it. So I don't know why that's there. So I always go in and I enable it, and then I take that down to 0 just to get rid of any vignetting so it's not super dark on all the sides of the frame. Okay, so now that that's set up, we have our end display set up, and we can rotate that, and we have our actor. But what else can we do? How else can we have some fun here? Well, like I said, we got our little buddy over here, okay? And let's do something with him. I'm going to move him around with camera number 3, okay? So now I can use this slider on him, and I'm going to show you what you need to do. Once again, live link, it shows up. We got camera number 1. If I go to KOS and we do a pan, you're going to see camera number 1 is green, so that's good. We can see it. If I go to planet, bring this down and move the planet, camera number 2 pops up. So how do we get camera number 3 if it's not associated with that? Well, that's easy. You just send the values to URE. Camera 3 shows up. So we're just going to go to 0. We're going to 0 all these out. The only reason there was data is because I was playing around with this earlier. We're just going to clear everything out, and boom, we're ready to go. So we're going to go to Mushroom Cave, and where is all of our stuff? Oh, that's right. We had moved things quite a bit. Let's go ahead and bring this guy back down to where he needs to be. This is because I made these adjustments in KOS under camera number 2. So I'm just going to take that back to 0 and take that back to 0 and send those to Unreal, and okay. Now our guy is back where we wanted it. Does that make sense what happened? So as soon as I sent the data, because right now if you're looking at the root component on, where is it? Oh, got to get that cleared out. Under transform, everything was just, when I loaded this up, this is all the kind of like the position I currently had it in. So when I went in KOS and I did anything on camera 2, which is planet, any of the values in here were added into it. So that's what caused it to jump. So we're just going to keep all those at 0 for now. And now, so we have all that sorted and we're in good shape. In order to get our little buddy, where did he go? Where's our friend at? Did we lose him? Where are you at, bud? Oh, he reset. Okay, we're just gonna go we're gonna go pick up a new one. I don't like him anyway. He was a jerk. here's what we're going to do. We're going to go into the deep elder caves and the content. Anytime you have a level built, they're going to have these folders down here. They're going to kind of have your stuff in it. So we're going to go to meshes and then props. And I'm just going to go down and see if we can find a figure. Okay, we got a bunch of guys here. I like this guy. We're gonna bring this guy in, and the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make him big. So I'm gonna select him. I'm gonna press R in order to get the scale tool, because I want to have a big buddy right here. And then we're gonna go W, and we're just gonna kind of move him over a little bit because I want to be able to see him with the end display. And in fact, this light right here, we're just going to go ahead and get rid of that because we don't need it yet. We will do that in a little bit. So we got our little buddy here, our SM figurehead, inhabitant, whatever. So the same thing, what I want to do is I'm going to add a live link controller. Let me try to get a little bit of space here. So I got the live link controller, and right now subject representation is none. I can select 3, but he's going to pop away and go back to the 0 point, and we don't want that. So what we're going to do is we're going to nest him within an actor. So we're going to go get a basic actor. I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to pull it into our scene, and I'm just going to try to set this guy right in the middle of our friend here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the figurehead. I'm going to nestle him under the actor. But see, it says I can't do it, right? Well, the reason is because the mobility of this guy is set to static, not movable. So we're going to change it to movable, and now I can anchor him in. So if I go back over to our buddy and we just zero it out, you can see he twitches a little bit, but he hasn't jumped to the middle of the entire scene. So now that we have him in there, we can go ahead and go back to the live link controller component, and I can select camera number 3. Now, if we go to Unreal or KOS, and we go to camera number 3, I can sit and I can manipulate this guy all day long. Look at that. Whoop, whoop. It's like at a heavy metal concert. And you can change all the different positions of him. I'm going to go ahead and put him back at 0. But we can do that. In fact, if we do X or Z, this will raise him up and down. We got pan. And I can rotate this dude around wherever I want. So we can manipulate this guy and throw him anywhere in the scene. And you can do this with, like, I have no idea how many of these cameras you can do. I've got these all that I've built up in the past, and they all just seem to sit in here for some reason. But you can go at least to 27. So there's a lot of different things you can do and adjust the scene while you're running the end display, which is super handy. So you're not bouncing back and forth between the editor and the end display. So let's go ahead and try this out. I'm going to go ahead and save this. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this right back here. And then we're going to pull up our switchboard and launch the node. Oop. I need to get rid of that too. Like I said, you got to get rid of it before you launch the other one. I mean, you can do it. If you get rid of it quick enough, it probably won't cause a problem. I think this will work just fine. But if you come back in and you can't see it, make sure you don't have an editor sitting around somewhere that's sucking that live link data. Okay, so we're going to go to KOS, and we're going to go ahead and pan and make sure that everything there looks good. Look at that. It's following. Everything is in view. Let's go ahead and bring this over. And also, if you don't like this mode, I actually kind of prefer this because you can kind of just swing things back and forth rather than telling it where you want it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and do planet, and we're going to do the same thing, put in analog mode. Same thing. And there's a lag on this. Once again, 1080 Ti. But if I go take it off analog mode and I just rotate it a bit, it does try to match the backdrop up with the rotation of the subject, which is nice. Okay. So cool. Now we need to just find our friend, right? Where do we put him? I think I saw him back there. I'm going to go to analog mode so I can go just quicker. There he is. There's our buddy. There's our buddy. Let's go ahead and we're going to move the slider. Okay. And if you look, our buddy, apparently he's hit a really cool level of nirvana and capability because he is floating. Look at that. Ooh, take him and land him back over here. Okay, so we're just going to set this at 0. I think 0 is actually floating though. Yeah. So we're going to do -3, -30. Okay, that looks good enough. Now, as you see, we can actually sit there and manipulate this guy right in the end display by moving these sliders. How badass is that? So if you have a certain prop or something you want to get moved or tweaked or anything like that, you can while you're running it. There are some limitations with this, but I'm going to be honest, it works pretty darn good. What was that? -30, I think, is what felt nice with him. We can also rotate him around and, you know, reacts with the light and everything looks appropriate. In fact, you can see that there's a shadow that moves along with him. So that's pretty cool. But what else can we do? What about manipulating a light? Now that sounds really interesting to me. So what we're going to do is we are going to stop the end display, launch the editor. Okay, not now, not now. We're just going to go back to the content drawer. So now I want to do something. I want to find a way to illuminate this guy and be able to manipulate that lighting, right? So in order to light him, we're just going to go in here and we're just going to go with a light. I think we're going to do a spotlight. We're going to bring that up. Okay, you see the area that it's shooting at is below. And I can move this in and you'll see the light as it moves. Well, I think what I need to do is up the intensity of this light. So we're on the spotlight. I'm going to go down here to intensity. Okay, there we go. Then you can kind of see it a little bit better. And what about maybe, wish this stuff would go away. Light color. Ooh. Yeah, that's nice. Or what about green? A nice kind of a sickly green or maybe a purple. No, he doesn't really need to do any of that, but you can change the color of your light to whatever you want. So I am just going to go with like kind of a red hue on this. Okay, we can even bump up that intensity a little bit more. So now what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to move this light. But what I've learned is that if I cannot put I can add a live link controller to this, right? But the thing is, the live link controller isn't honored when you're running the end display. It doesn't move it. It doesn't change the light or anything like that. So you have to get a little bit, you have to anchor this thing down a few times. So like these other ones are anchored, we're going to have to anchor this. So I'm going to go ahead and get a basic actor. I'm going to bring that out. And we're going to bring them over, try to get it in the same point as that light. This looks about right. And I'm just going to go ahead and grab that spotlight and I'm going to anchor it down into the actor. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and add a live link component to this. Live link controller, and we need another camera, so I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go to camera 4, and we'll just zero all this out. Send that to Unreal, and what we should see now in the live link page should be camera 4. Let's go ahead and go back to Chaos. Okay, camera 4. Yeah, camera 4 is on there. We can go to camera 3, camera 2, what have you. So we got all 4 of our camera controllers in there now. I'm going to go spotlight, and let's select this as camera 4. Okay. Now if I go back into chaos and I go to camera 4, if I start moving things, see, it moves. But let's see what happens when we have this saved. And we're going to go ahead and kill this, and we're going to launch the node. Okay, we're going to go get our chaos back. And we got camera 4. And let's go ahead and just try to move and see. Actually, let's go ahead and make sure we have our positions. Okay, that looks right. Then we're going to move this. Make sure that works. But if we go to camera 4, we're not seeing anything change, right? Nothing happens. It took me a little while to figure this one out. We're just going to go ahead and zero this all out again and send that to Unreal, and then we are going to get our end display, shut that down, and then launch the editor. And I'll show you how to get that light to respond. Okay, not now, and cancel, and get all this garbage to go away again. Okay, so the problem is that this doesn't seem to honor anything that comes to it from a live link controller, right? It does say stationary. Maybe movable will fix it. Why don't we try that real quick? Because it does move it in here. I don't think I've actually done that before, so let's try it. Okay, bring chaos back. Come on, chaos. All right, planet moves. Pan moves. Camera 4. Oh, actually it does. Okay, we just need to change that. I'll show you another way to do this too. But look at this. How cool is that? So we can change the X position. We can move the light away or towards. Isn't that awesome? So you can sit there and you can kind of like tweak your lighting with these little camera IDs in Unreal through the end display, which is a super handy thing to do because I've got ways of doing similar stuff with Dragon Frame directly to Unreal, and it's not nearly as easy to set up as this system here, not even close. But it can also manipulate other things like that, and it's incredibly handy to be able to have that. This is just a very smooth, very easy way to do it, to create these kind of virtual controls for your scene. And of course, like if you need to increase or decrease anything, because like the tilt only goes 90 to 90. So if we want to make this more of a full swing around, you just go into URE, planet, camera number 2, and tilt. Let's go negative 180 to 180. Okay. And now tilt. Well, did we do tilt or did I do? Let's go back to here. Planet. Tilt, negative 99. So negative 180, 180. This might be a hard limit on there. Let's go to tilt. Oh, I'm on camera ID 2. Duh. So if I want to change camera ID 4, I actually have to go to camera ID 4, and then I can do 180 and 180, negative 180 and 180. So okay, that's the most it's going to allow is positive negative 90. So that's why I can't go any further, but that's okay. If I want to limit this further, I can go to 45 and 45. For camera number 4, and you'll see now it's limited to 45 to 45. I guess there's just a negative 90 limitation for that planet. So we're going to go back to negative 90 and 90. And we're going to take that, and then we're going to move this back to camera number 2. So we have a pan. And if you need to add more cameras, all you really got to do is just grab an axis, go in, pick a number that you want. Let's see. Let's try this. So we're going to do pan. I'm going to do 10,000, 10,000. And see if, okay, it limits it to 99. So you can have almost just under 100 different objects in here that you can manipulate. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, we're going to take this back down to number 2 because that's what we want. And then move this. Oh, the wrong slider. Okay, planet. Once again, wrong slider. Planet, what do I have this on? Probably just something that I bungled up here. Oh yeah, 2. So 1, 1, 1, 2. Now if I go back to this, I should rotate the backdrop with it. So the cool thing is what you can do is you can attach these cameras to lights. You can attach them to actors. You can attach them to all kinds of things. If you find something you cannot attach it to, let me show you another trick. We're going to go ahead and go back, and we're going to kill this, and then launch this. And we're almost done here for today. This is good because it's about 45 minutes, but it's awesome stuff. You know, this is really cool stuff. Okay. Another way you can do it, like say if you're not able to, now cancel, get out of the way. God. I just wish you could just click those and make them go away. It's on movable. You have several different modes. Static, it's not going to allow anything to move. This one, it can be changed in the game but not moved. It's a movable. That's for the figurehead. If we go to the spotlight, it looks like it switched it over to movable for me. But yeah, you need to make sure that it's set for movable. And if it's something that for some reason it's not working, you can always just come in, get another actor, and take this actor, nestle it within there, and then move that live link connection from the spotlight to the actor above it, and then use the actor that everything else is nested in, like a Russian nesting doll, in order to like position your stuff and put it where you want. Anyway, I hope everybody liked this. I hope this was useful and cool. I think this is some really awesome capability. Super stoked on it. And if anybody has any questions or wants me to cover other topics or anything like that, by all means, please do. And thank you for tuning in. That's it.